Must be really fun for the president to have to meet on a regular basis with people who absolutely hate his guts, that just hate everything about him. And you have to sit there and attempt to get along with them.
You mean Nancy and Chuck?
Yeah.
Because he always says that he likes Nancy and Chuck, and he kind of gets them, right? Like because they obviously hate his guts, and surely at some level he hates theirs as well. Though he tries to keep a positive face on that relationship at the very least, right? Like he does kind of say, "Well, I get them. I understand. I've dealt with people like that my whole life. I get who they are," which is certainly a demeaning way of saying it, and I think he likes that. But also, I think there is something there where he thinks they're so transactional. They're so transparent when it comes to this stuff that they will trade. They'll do the horse trading of what they want for what the other side wants. They can be theoretical deal makers if you don't mind giving up a couple of $1 trillion. It's just a couple of trillion.
It's just the $2 trillion, though. That's
$2 trillion.
They're not asking for a lot of money.
No,
just $2 trillion. 2 is a really small number.
Right.
It's really small.
I mean, there's only one or two numbers smaller.
Yeah, right.
And I do like one of the smaller numbers, which is 0 trillion.
That would be nice.
I'm on team 0 trillion.
Yeah, I am too.
But I was devastated yesterday when I heard that they got into a little tiff and we're not going to get our $2 trillion of infrastructure spending.
Well, let's hope that keeps up. They don't find a way to come back together on that because it's bad.
Well, last time they met as friends, it went from 1 trillion to 2 trillion.
Yes.
So I don't want them to be friends.
No.
People are like, I can't believe these people can't work together. Look what happens when they work together.
Only bad things.
An extra $1 trillion. Mm-hmm. Now, look, we do need infrastructure spending, Pat. I was just traveling.
Wait, you traveled?
Yeah, I traveled. It was risky.
Not by air.
Yeah, by air.
Oh, my gosh. You found an airport that wasn't crumbling?
Well, I can't say that, unfortunately. I was at the airport, and like an action-adventure movie, I was running at full sprint as the entire airport was collapsing behind me and just missing the backs of my heels. And I did have to jump over a large chasm where to leap to the other side.
A chasm was there?
A chasm
Did you shout out across that chasm, I'm Israel? No.
I did not.
You didn't?
I didn't do that.
Okay.
But
was there
I did survive.
There was no time to shout across the chasm? You just leapt across the chasm.
I did leap across the chasm, and I did turn back just at the moment to see a sad Taco Bell employee sucked into.
No.
Yeah, no, because they lost one. They had one of those airport Taco Bells, and that thing. Now I did save a couple bean burritos, but I was unable to save the human life that went into the chasm. I mean, we act as if we are.
I know, like there's
the
no
Central
bridges,
African
there's no
Republic.
roads, there's no airports.
Yeah, no technology, no bridges, no airports. We're just crumbling everywhere, and it's like. How often do we have? Is there a certain requirement for a human being in their life to have to fall for that? Like, how many times are we?
And we fell for it in 2009.
Yeah,
and spent
$787 billion, which I believe turned into like 840.
Yes, or
afterwards, and then up to maybe $1 billion
or more,
or $1 trillion. Excuse me.
I think it was over $1 trillion eventually, and. That didn't get us a better infrastructure.
We did get us some shovel-ready jobs.
I saw some signs about it.
Oh, yeah, lots of signs about that particular infrastructure spending. And now here we are, one president later in his first term, and we need another $2 trillion of infrastructure spending?
No.
That is...
I'm going to say no to it.
I'm going to say no. So I'm glad.
I am too.
People are like, I can't believe they can't work together. Good. The last thing we need are people like, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to work with. When you work with people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, you wind up on the short end of the stick every time. Because she's still going to go out and call you Satan in front of every camera. Mm-hmm. So why meet with her at all?
Right before their meeting, she's talking about this massive cover-up that he's responsible for.
And there's just a part of me, and it's a small part, Pat, that has a little skepticism as to how real these events actually are. Like, does Nancy Pelosi really expect to have a pleasant meeting with Donald Trump when right before she walks into the meeting, she says he's covering up impeachable offense? Like, come on. She's doing this intentionally. She's goading him into a fight, right?
Yes.
She looks like she's weak with her people because she has not endorsed impeachment yet. So she's trying to, now this is her effort to appease her base
and look
tough. And I think honestly, there's a nice chunk of this out of the Trump administration as well, as she says these things in front of the camera. They're supposed to meet up. Then right after that, he walks into the meeting and says, "Look, you're not going to, tell me that I'm involved in a cover-up and then have this nice meeting with me about infrastructure spending. We're not doing both of these things at the same time. Get out." And then he walks out.
Which I like, by the way.
Which I like. And I want him to say that all the time,
that.
whether she says things in front of the camera or not, because I don't want to spend another $2 trillion.